Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Katherine Kelly, and I'm going to bring you some journalism type prompts to help us talk about the soul today as part of this Soul 101 series. You know, years ago in high school, I started taking journalism classes. I didn't really know why. I just felt like I needed to, and it really built a foundation for how to do writing in the future. And again, I didn't know at the time. I think my soul just sort of intuitively led me to take those classes. But one of the basic principles of learning about journalism is to basically report on six principles. So it's the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and the how. And I think that is a really good way for us to start talking about the soul and to help people understand from, again, I call it Soul 101, just basic soul stuff, all the way up to really how we use it in modern life, as well as how it works at a very complex level as well. So I'm going to talk about these six principles today. And I'm going to go through them systematically to help you understand a little bit more, just from a really basic perspective, because there's a lot of people on this planet who don't even use the word, don't even know how to live through the soul, don't even know it's a thing, but we're going to make it a thing. As I say, I'm bringing this ancient wisdom to the modern soul because we have to start living through the soul. If you look at the state of the world right now, I really believe I would bet a whole lot on this that the reason that our world is where it is that people are so disconnected from their souls. Whereas ancient cultures used to be so connected, but it seems like the more modernized we become, the more distant and disconnected become from that inner ally, from that part of us that really influences and instructs every bit of us. It's part of our reactions. It's when we lose our crap. That's where it comes from. There's a wound there that's coming out. It's when we are in our most joyful state, but really we have to start understanding all of these concepts, the who, the why, the what, the when, the how, in order to, and the where, to really understand it. So I'm going to start with the who. And who is the soul? Now, there's different people who talk about this in different ways, but the soul is not the entirety of the human. The soul is the animating part of us. It is that part of us. I call it the essence of who we are. It is the operating system. It's like that operating system in a computer. So it's a separate entity, but it incorporates our personality as humans and our circumstances as humans, and it helps run the show behind the scenes, no matter what our circumstances are. So why are we even talking about the soul? Because the who of who we are is the most important part of what we can experience. So it's that essence of who we are. And that's where we have to start understanding that operating system that is within us goes way back, past lives. It collects information along the way, it collects wounds along the way. And so if you think about an operating system of a computer, if that operating system has glitches, well, it's similar to what the human is. If the soul behind the human has glitches, if there are wounds, if it has been seasoned with things that have tainted its ability to live in that alignment or live in that wholeness, live in that ability to be in loving consciousness, then it basically needs to be cleaned out. What do we do when we have a computer issue? We take it somewhere where we can get that cleaned out and get it working in a better way. It's kind of like a mechanic. Now, how do you do that as a soul, though? And so that is why it is so important to understand the soul and also understand that it's important to go to soul healing practitioners who understand this. And I'm hoping to make that a better option for a lot of people in the long run as I create these certifications for other health care providers and coaches and administrators and educators, because we need more soul healing practitioners. We need more people in this planet who understand the soul, because I really, really, when I look at the world, when I look at what's happening, and when I look at the chaos, when I look at the woundedness, it's because the souls are wounded, and those souls are what need to be healed. So the who of the soul is an essence within us that operates in, makes us function, makes us cope, makes us react, makes us feel, makes us behave. It is that operating system, and we have to start getting to know that part of us in order to lead, again, what I call a radiant life. So the who part of us is the essence of who we are. The what part of us, this is very much related, but what is the soul? It is a separate part of who we are. Now, a lot of people who do soul healing talk about the fact that an aspect or a facet of our soul lives within the human to help them organize life, to function in life, but that the entirety of the soul actually is part of our higher consciousness, our higher being, our higher self. And that higher self is kind of monitoring what is going on within the human at all times, but it's all connected. So it's not like it's a separate part of us. It's just that there's a soul aspect within each one of us that helps us function, but that our higher consciousness is oftentimes where intuition comes from. It's where those aha moments come from. It's where those spiritual downloads come from. It's that conduit between you and source. But again, it's not somewhere in the body. We're going to talk about that with the where piece of this. So the what aspect of us, that aspect that is functioning within us, is, again, it's the most, as far as I'm concerned, it is the most important part of us. I tell people our heads can lead us wrong because of fear or because of how we've been programmed to think, or how we've been wounded from a thinking perspective. Our hearts can lead us wrong because basically our hearts really are romanticizing a lot of things in life. But that soul, that gut reaction, that deep knowing, that deep wisdom within us never leads us wrong. So that's where we have to realize that, okay, the who of who we are and the what of who we are is really operating behind the scenes at all times. So what's the when part of this? So when is it that our soul comes in? So when we have that gut reaction, when we have that urge to get out of the way of danger, when we get into a place where like, wow, something doesn't feel right. When we get into a place where we have to make a split second decision, when we get into a place where we recognize a soul that a human we've never seen before, but we recognize their soul and it brings us together. That is part of that. That is when it operates. The soul is operating really behind the scenes at all times, but it comes forth, it comes present at those times when we really need it the most. It is our internal guidance, and it's that operating system that sends out those alerts that there's something amiss or something that needs attention. So from a mental health perspective, I think about this when people have breakdowns, it really is an opportunity. It's an opportunity or a breakthrough. It's really an opportunity to awaken to a different and a deeper part of yourself. I cannot tell you how many people have said that they have realized that there's something more out there, there's something more spiritual when they've had a mental health crisis or when they've had a human crisis, when something terrible goes on in their lives, or at least after sometimes those terrible things happen. The win of the soul comes forth when we need it. So in other words, it makes itself more present. It tries to get our attention all times. Sometimes it comes up in health concerns. I just did a talk on Saturday at my office, the Soul Health Center, and I was talking about the fact that when we don't deal with our emotional concerns and they're still kind of warehoused within us, those energetic imprints of those wounds have to land somewhere, and sometimes it lands in our body. So sometimes physical ailments, sometimes aches and pains, sometimes we trip when we fall, and then we realize, wait, that was a wake-up call. There are so many different ways that the soul comes in when we need it. We just have to start looking at life from a 3D perspective to go, well, wait a minute, that was a wake up call. That is a nudge for me to pay attention to something different. So it's a level of consciousness that needs to be brought to people's attention. Excuse me. So where is the where of this? So here's the thing. There has been a scientist, or probably more than one scientist, who have tried to figure out where in the body the soul resides. They've dissected, they've done tests. They cannot find it because it's not a thing. It is the essence. It's an energetic part of who we are in every cell of our body. But if I were to say that there's a concentrated part within our body that our soul resides, it is in that gut region, in the solar plexus region, but it's deep, deep, deep within that energy. It's like the nucleus of who we are. And if you're looking at an atom and you're really trying to find this nucleus of an atom, someone who's untrained is not going to be able to find it. And it's the same thing with soul healing practitioners. If you don't have a soul healing practitioner to say, oh, okay, this is what's going on with your soul. This is what is wounded. This is what is ailing you. This is why you have energetic blockages. This is why you can't manifest. This is why, you're not getting where you want to go in life. If you don't have someone that knows kind of how to read that energy, you're really not going to get very far. But as far as a place in the body that the soul resides, there is no place. It's basically all over, and it's concentrated more in that core of who we are. So as far as aware, there's nowhere you can dissect your body to find it. The why do we have a soul? So this all goes back to the whole idea of why do we even exist? And, Darwin brought up this whole idea of evolution, and he was looking at it from a biological perspective. And I absolutely agree with the idea of evolution, but I take it further to talk more about we exist in order to evolve as souls. We are here to evolve as souls. So scientists have pretty much said that our human body has evolved pretty much about as much as it's going to, but that our consciousness and that our ability to evolve from that soul perspective is infinite. And that's why we reincarnate. That's why this whole idea of consciousness has been in the literature so much in the last couple decades, because people are trying to figure out, wait a minute, the more I learn, the more I evolve, the more I raise my consciousness to see things in a bigger and wider way, the more I evolve, the better I feel. And so this is the why of this. So why do we go through difficult things? It's all a construction of basically the human condition so that we can evolve in some way. Now, a lot of times it looks like our lives are falling apart or breaking down instead of being built up. And this is where it gets tricky, because we have to look at things from a 3D perspective, or that I call it widening the lens. You look at things from a wider perspective and a deeper perspective in order to figure things out. So that's where Signs from Spirit comes in. That's where basically our, wow, okay, this keeps happening. There must be something I'm supposed to learn from this, which is my famous and my favorite question. What are you supposed to learn from this? Because it raises that consciousness. It forces you to step back and go, wait a minute, what am I supposed to learn and evolve beyond in this situation? So that's the why. How? So that last concept with the journalism, the how is it that this thing exists? Now, everything is energy. Energy, there's no way to get rid of energy. It'll just move into something different. So any physicist is going to be able to help you see that, well, energy does not dissipate. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't, it doesn't, you can't eliminate it. But the essence of our soul is an energy. And when your energy is feeling bright and shiny, you know it because your mental health feels good, your body feels good, everything is good. When it is heavy, when there are lots of tainted kind of wounds in there, you're going to know it because it is making you feel sluggish and down, and things aren't working as well as you would like them to. So, how is it that we learn to use the soul? And to me, that's what I'm all about. I'm here to help people understand all of the basic concepts, all the way up to the very complex concepts about the soul, and how to function in daily life in a better way, in a way to give you the tools. I love the information about star beings and interplanetary souls and reincarnation, and I love all of that. And there's so many more topics I love, but the fact is, we only need to understand a little bit of that, because what we are needing to do is really figure out how to function as human beings better. That is what we struggle with. And that is why we have come to this planet, is basically to figure out the human condition and evolve in the ways that we're supposed to on this planet. So whether you're a human soul or an earth soul or an interplanetary soul kind of doesn't always matter, because you're here right now and you have to figure out your life. So being a mental health practitioner and also doing the soul work, to me, is a perfect marriage of helping people understand why from a mental health perspective, why from a coping perspective, why from a medical perspective we struggle. And if you start to understand the who, the what, the when, the where, the how, I think I missed one, the why, it just helps you really understand that this soul thing of ours is the most important part of who we are, and we have to start bringing this back to life. And I've said this a million times. When the field of medicine, the fields of psychology became a thing, they were both talking about the fact that the soul was present and the soul was integral in our healing. And yet in modern day, we don't talk about that at all, but we have to bring it back in order to understand where we're going. Now, There's so much more that I could share today just about the who, the what, the when, the why, the where, the how. But this is just a video to kind of get you started in understanding, wow, we do have to widen the lens and deepen the lens in order for us to go to that next level. So hope this was helpful. I'm going to be sharing a lot more information with the Soul 101 series, and I look forward to helping you evolve. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.